Welcome to my Ask an American series where I attempt to address questions that I get in my Twitch chat, that I get on Twitter, that only Americans can answer. I feel like that's some sort of American hubris, but let's get to it. Today we're talking about why professional sports teams in the United States move between cities. There have been a lot of examples of this over the years. The most recent ones that have happened in the NFL were two separate teams moving to Los Angeles, the St. Louis Rams and the San Diego Chargers. And both of them moved for different reasons. And I think I'm going to use those two NFL teams to help explain why teams move in the United States, where this is not something that's very common anywhere else in the world. The first reason to move is purely economic, and it's a cultural result of what it's like to live in the United States. And that cultural result is that greed is good. Greed has impacted every level of, it's impacted every level of American society. And it's the reason that the San Diego Chargers became the Los Angeles Chargers. The only reason. The owner of the San Diego Chargers couldn't get a new deal for a new stadium in San Diego. He wanted a new stadium. He wanted the county to pay for it. The county's telling him, well, he's got to pay for some of it. It starts to get very complicated when it comes to who funds professional stadiums in the United States, because it always depends on how much the owner thinks they can get the city to pay for it and how much leverage the city thinks they have in terms of keeping the owner in the city. This is the type of threatening a city can do so that it doesn't have to put the burden on the tax-paying citizens of the town and can force the owner to pay for the whole stadium. The San Diego Chargers have been in San Diego for a very long time, so the city assumed that they wouldn't move. They'd always been in San Diego. The Rams, who we're going to talk about later, had not always been in St. Louis. They'd been in Los Angeles before. A little bit more fluidity in that situation. The Chargers have always been in San Diego. Why would you dare move them? The city gambled and it lost. The owner essentially said, screw you, I'm going to go play in Los Angeles. They're going to be able to fund more of the stadium. They're going to give us a better place to play in a few years. Fans be damned and everything else be damned. We're moving the team. And so they moved. And they announce it and they go. This brings me to the second reason that teams move in the United States. It's usually a combination of these two, but the second reason is this lack of cultural understanding of loyalty and staying in one place. I've had the ability to travel to 31 countries in my life. And what I've learned, amongst plenty of other things while traveling, is that the United States is actually a very transient society. Most everyone that lives here comes from somewhere else, 1 to 2 generations back, somewhere very far away from where they are now. My dad was born in Chicago. My mom was born in Texas. I grew up in Florida, and now I live in Virginia. This is about as far away as Italy to France, and France to Germany, and down to Switzerland. I mean, it's far away and culturally incredibly different. Think of Texas, and then think of Chicago. We are used to moving. We have very complicated fan allegiances. And while there are some teams that are very tied to where they're from, like the Green Bay Packers, the St. Louis Rams just aren't that tied to where they were. So when the owner, Stan Kroenke, decides that it's time to move his team to Los Angeles because he thinks it's just a better market to have a sports team in, there's nothing stopping him. So he takes the team back. When the owner of the Oakland Raiders decides that they're not going to build him a new stadium, and he realizes a huge financial opportunity to be an NFL team in Las Vegas, he moves the team. And they're about to go there. It happens in all 4 major sports. It's happened in basketball, it's happened in hockey, and it's happened in football and baseball, all in my lifetime. And I'm only 23. The teams move and you get on with it. And it's not necessarily just a town thing. It's a sport in a town thing. I'm from Tampa. We have a football team and a hockey team that are well entrenched. They're loved. They sell plenty of tickets. They both won championships. Then we have a baseball team that doesn't sell a lot of tickets and doesn't win championships. They're really good this year, but they've been threatening moving for a while because their stadium contract runs out in a couple of years. It's just a fear that you have to live with as a sports fan in the United States, unless you're from a very select few cities. And even those select few cities like New York have had it hit them in the past. The Dodgers out in Los Angeles used to play baseball in Brooklyn. That move happened like 60, 70 years ago. Just to give you an idea of how often this has been happening. If you want to make me keep explaining this, then you can join me on Twitch. I stream 4 or 5 days a week. Normally Football Manager, I mix it up with some other stuff. Link's going to be down there. Or if you don't have that kind of time, I also have a Twitter. It'll be right next to the Twitch. You'll see it. Key takeaways, though, are greed and a lack of locational loyalty. That's why teams move in the United States, where in the English league system, it would be largely unthinkable unless teams are combining their forces or breaking up or whatever they do. Big shout out to Dag and Red. Loved them in FIFA. Okay, y'all, I will see you soon. Go Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas or Vegas Raiders?